Hallo zusammen. This is a very special video for me today because I'm gonna be reacting to Nick Alfieri from the USA, but he lives in Germany because he is a professional football player. He's currently playing for the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he still plays there, but I think he does. Well, it just so happened that he found his way to the subscribe button on my channel, which I'm really grateful about. It's an honor, actually, when that happens. Today I'm gonna be reacting to things that shocked him about Germany when he went here the first time. So it's an older video of his, but I still think it could be pretty cool. I haven't watched it yet, so this is gonna be a first time reaction. So let's find out what he first thought about life in Germany, what it's like, also in comparison to living in the USA as an American. So let's go. And by the way, if you're ever gonna see this, Nalf, Nick, hi, greetings, cheers, whatever, all of that together.
What's up,
Team Beard?
If you don't know me, my name is Nick Alfieri, aka Nalf. This is my YouTube channel. I'm an American living and playing American football in Germany. One thing about Germany that my opinion has changed on since I first got here is the German education system. So when I first got to Germany and was explained how the education system works, I was a little bit shocked and I thought it was kind of crazy and harsh. So the way that I understand it is that kids go to kindergarten at a young age and then they go to the primary school, Grundschule I think it's called. And then at around age like 10 or 11, the kids are split up into 3 different categories.
That is pretty much correct, even though in Germany, it's a weird thing to say, but it's true. Education is like a state-based thing. What do I mean by that? You might be familiar with the fact that Germany consists of 16 states. It's a federal state. So there is not just like one Germany as a single country, but Germany consists of 16 separate states. And each state can regulate, can rule their educational system the way they want to do it. So actually, we have 16 separate educational systems in Germany. Many of them are quite similar here and there, but when it comes to the curriculum, for instance, or when pupils and students actually change from elementary school, which would be die Grundschule, not to be confused with the Grund School. Quite funny from a German perspective, but of course, you know, you get what he wanted to say. In North Rhine-Westphalia, where I live, kids go to the Grundschule, die Grundschule, the elementary school, from class 1 to class 4, and then they switch over to one of 3 secondary school forms. The first one would be die Hauptschule, the main school, translated literally. The second one would be die Realschule, the real school, translated literally, even though, you know, all of them are real schools. And the third one, not to be confused with the English gymnasium, is das Gymnasium, which is the highest level school, where I also went to. And at the gymnasium in class 12, nowadays, when I went to school, it was class 13, you get to make the A levels, if you succeed, of course, the final exam, das Abitur. And then you can study, or for instance, do a traineeship, you know? That is your choice. If I'm not mistaken, I think in Berlin, you go to elementary school from class 1 to class 6 instead of class 1 to class 4. So 2 additional years of elementary school. And that is just one tiny difference of many potential ones among the 16 educational systems we have in Germany. So it can be quite shocking, and to be honest, it can be quite annoying sometimes as well when it comes to education in Germany, schools, how schools work. But yeah.
You go to either Hauptschule, Realschule, or Gymnasium, and it's basically 3 different levels of schooling. And from age 10 or 11, these kids are sent on 3 different tracks. When I first heard this, I thought that this was insane. I thought, how are you going to determine a child's path and what kind of career they're going to have at such a young age?
That is a totally valid point there. From my personal intuition, I would say like the Berlin way to do things is more accurate and a better way from the child's perspective than like just having class 1 to class 4 and then switch over. It might be better just because of like growing up and stuff and getting used to the system and learning things the way you get taught things as well. It might be a better idea to have like class 1 to class 6 instead of class 1 to class 4, because that is 2 additional years. And you might say, okay, well, that's not much at all because it's just 2 years. But you have to keep in mind, we're talking about children and the way children grow up to teenagers and stuff. You know, that period of time, 2 years can be quite a lot. I was 19, almost 20 when I graduated from grammar school. I think would be like sort of a synonym to das Gymnasium from the like level. And that was me and my schoolmates being in class 13. Nowadays it's up to class 12, so they pretty much erased one class and it's only up to 12.
But as I talked to more people about this subject, I started to realize that I was kind of looking at it from this perspective because I grew up in America, and in the United States, the attitude with schooling is basically go to college or bust. If you don't go to a university or four-year school, then you're just not going to make it.
Wow. The system is different, definitely. Also, what going to university costs and stuff like that. It's much more expensive in the USA than as it is in Germany. I mean, you also have to pay stuff in Germany. Semestergebühren, for instance. Back when I studied, it was roughly about like 250 to maybe 300 euros per semester, each half year. I'm not an expert when it comes to the American schooling system at all, the educational system. I only know bits and pieces here and there. Is the educational system pretty much more of the same in all states, or can there be vast differences as well? Feel free to tell me in the comments.
And when I first heard about the schooling system, it kind of felt to me like, all right, we're deciding that these kids are not going to ever go to college. These kids may go to college or they'll do some sort of apprenticeship. And these are the kids, at age 11, these are the kids that are going to go on and go to university to study to be teachers.
When you really think about it, sorry for pausing this so often, but it's a really interesting topic to talk about. When I got the official recommendation from my main teacher at elementary school in class 4 to which type of school I should go, where she was a female teacher, where she saw me fit, that is pretty much a big determination. Like you really decide on the fate of a child in the schooling system and beyond. It's crazy when you think about it. Like back in elementary school, I was like a flawless student. And I'm not saying that to really like, you know, fishing for compliments or whatever and to brag. Not at all, but just the way it was. And once I switched to das Gymnasium, boy, that was a whole different level. And for the first 2 years, I was kind of struggling with a few things here and there. It actually changed for the better. And yeah, I just got used to it. But the difference in terms of the sheer quality of stuff that you get taught in elementary school and in the gymnasium, yeah, that definitely is a change.
Teachers or stuff like that. But after being in Germany now for a while, I've started to realize that there's such a value on skilled labor. Things like being an electrician or a mechanic or a carpenter or whatever. And it's not just, oh, you need to go to university and you need to study and have this kind of job or you're not going to make it. Because that's kind of the attitude in the United States. It's kind of like if you didn't go to college, you're going to struggle.
Okay. Well, that isn't a thing in Germany. That is totally true. You don't have to study in Germany to really get great jobs. It's a valid thing, of course, but you might as well graduate from die Hauptschule or die Realschule and get like cool jobs, great jobs. You might not earn as much in those kinds of jobs in comparison to like A-level based jobs and that form of graduation, that level. I mean, I could talk about the educational system for hours because it's quite complex. I actually did talk about the educational system for hours because me and my buddy Superflash Crash, we have a podcast which is called Custom, a German podcast in which we talk about everything like from media, movies, music, society, culture, and also that kind of stuff. We actually had a German teacher being a guest in the show. and we talked about what's it like being a teacher in Germany. So let's continue.
That's just not the case. And it's not even the case in the United States, because you can make a great living not going to college and picking up one of those trades or skilled labor positions. And as I start to understand the German system more and more, I think that it's pretty cool and pretty effective.
By the way, just one quick thing that I noticed there, which is I guess more or less like a typical German thing and totally random as such, the door handle in the background, the shape of it, of the handle itself, you know, the wavy shape and the whole thing, that was exactly the door handle that we had in our old flat. It's so common in Germany. I don't know if it's like a specifically German thing, but just seeing that in the background, yeah. I could definitely tell, oh, that might have been shot in Germany if I didn't know.
On the surface, it still kind of seems a little bit harsh to divide kids up into 3 categories at such a young age, but I've learned that actually the parents can decide which track they want their child to go down, and you can also change tracks.
That is very interesting and very important to mention there. The elementary school teacher, like the main teacher there, recommends a school form, but at the end of the day, it's the parents that decide. But still, like, the decision at that age still remains difficult.
At certain points, and so you're not just locked into this system from age 10 or 11.
And you can, what he said there, you can change from Realschule to Gymnasium and vice versa, of course, if you're good enough.
Getting an apprenticeship to learn a skill or a trade, and then going into that field and starting to work there. That's just as valuable as somebody going on the, say, gymnasium track and then going to university and studying and becoming a teacher or something like that. And so the more that I start to understand this system, the better that I think it is. I also find it really interesting when talking to some of my German friends that when they pick a course of study, that they are studying to become that. Like if you pick to study education or whatever it is, you're studying to become a teacher, and you know that you're going to be a history teacher or a sports teacher or whatever it is. And some of my German friends are shocked when they hear that people in the US will study something and they'll never use it, or they won't go into that field.
True and not true at the same time, like more or less, because in Germany you can also study something just because you want to study it, and it doesn't necessarily have to result in a specific job. Like a chemist, for instance, you study chemistry, you might get a doctor's degree in that as well, and then you are like a doctor in chemistry. But you can also study things and you don't really know what it's going to lead to in Germany. That is also possible, of course. It might not be the norm. Back in the day, my first idea was to become a music journalist because I love music, rock, metal, whatever, that kind of stuff in specific. And I thought, you know what, in order to become a journalist, I could study German studies, meaning the German language, which I also studied. I didn't study journalism. That is what I want to say here. At the end of the day, I didn't become a journalist. But what I want to say here is that you can definitely also study things and not necessarily become that, like, job-wise.
So it's like a lot of people will go to college just to go to college, even if it's not necessarily the most practical thing, because in the States, it is just what you're supposed to do. And I don't think we put as much value on some of those other tracks that are really, really important also. So those are my thoughts on that subject. I want to do a video on this because my opinion on this subject has changed. Like I said, when I first got to Germany, I thought that was crazy. And now I understand it more, and I actually think it's really, really cool.
So first of all, Nalf, I really loved this video. It was really insightful and really interesting. So Nalf, and all you guys out there who watched this with me, thanks for doing that. And see you next time. Yeah, check out his channel in the video description. And also in the end card, I'm gonna link it there as well. So you can check out his videos, really cool ones. Thanks for watching. I'm your Vlog Dave. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.